The Mindful Monitoring course is an empowered way to view and interpret your blood sugar results. This is not your same old boring how-to on checking your blood sugars. So stay awake. I know you're thinking, oh, not again. I know, but you don't know. In this one course, you're going to learn how to use the results that you're getting from your glucometer to propel you from the uncertainty of diabetes, from not knowing what to do with those results, to being able to control your blood sugars and improve your diabetes. Before we get started, let's zoom out so that we can see the forest for the trees. We're still in the target foundation section of the D2 goal method. We're going to learn exactly what we need to know about our blood sugars. One of the biggest weapons in the battle against type 2 diabetes that we're going to activate are your blood sugars. So many times, I bet you are checking your blood sugars probably multiple times a day. You're writing them down, but do you really know what to do with them? After sticking your finger multiple times, writing all that information down, how many times have you walked into your doctor and they barely glance at them? Those days are over. This information is meant to be used, and it will empower you to reach your goals with type 2 diabetes. I'm serious. The information you're about to glean from your readings is going to show you exactly where you're starting and where you are all along this journey to blood sugar control. You're going to learn exactly how to interpret the readings that you're getting, and better yet, how to use those results to refine your plan and reach your goals. But first, we need to make sure that you're checking your blood sugars and you're logging the information. Let me assure you, these readings are super important and very empowering. You're going to be glad you have them. Your blood sugar results are going to pretty much be your thermometer or your scale on your diabetes. They're going to enable you to begin predicting your blood sugars and controlling them rather than running from them. Have you ever felt like you're just doing all you can do and you're still just chasing your sugars? There is a method to testing blood sugars. I can't tell you how many clients I've had in office that check their blood sugar at the same time every day for years. Most of the time it's first thing in the morning, and they have this one tiny little snapshot of what their blood sugar's doing in a 24-hour period of time. It's ridiculous. That is not going to ever enable you to reach your goals with type 2 diabetes. That being said, here's my disclaimer. I'm not a physician. I'm not doling out medical advice. This is for education purposes only. Do not go against anything your physician's told you to do, which may mean you may have to add a test or two to the schedule he's given you unless you call and let him know you would like to switch the timing of your test results. Why does all this matter? The number one reason this matters is it's impossible. It is impossible to win against diabetes without the information that you're going to get from these blood sugar results. These blood sugars are going to tell you. They're going to tell you if you're on too much medication. They're going to tell you if you're eating too much food at one time. If you're having low blood sugars, we're going to use it to identify what's causing those low blood sugars. Same thing with high blood sugars. Blood sugars sometimes indicate an infection. We'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see that. It'll alert you to potential problems that need to be addressed. Blood sugars are needed. No, they're necessary in order to make adjustments to diet, to medication, and to exercise. And you know what? They're going to allow you to go into your next doctor's appointment knowing pretty much if you're having a problem, where you're having a problem, with some suggestions on things that can be done that you can do to improve that problem. I just want to reiterate, diabetes does not kill. High blood sugars kill. Diabetes with normal blood sugars, where you're keeping your blood sugars normal but still have type 2 diabetes, you should not have any more side effects than someone without diabetes. It's the high blood sugars that cause all the problems. We need to identify them on a daily basis until we can control them. See, by maintaining normal blood sugars, this is the reduction of risk. Pretty amazing. We reduce kidney disease by 34%, heart disease 28%, neuropathy, that's what contributes to the amputation numbers. Reduce that by 60%. Retinopathy, there's the diabetic blindness, 76% by achieving and maintaining normal blood sugars. I'd say it's worth the effort of putting this program into place, wouldn't you? See, the goal is to maintain normal blood sugars. I don't know if you're going to be able to reverse your diabetes permanently, but you can achieve normal blood sugars no matter the stage of diabetes and reduce your risk significantly. What does this do for you? What do normal blood sugars do for you? 1, it reduces the amount of insulin that your pancreas is secreting at one time, which means it reduces the amount of that insulin that's circulating in your bloodstream, causing you to store fat like a madman. Too much insulin in the bloodstream causes you to store fat and tells your body not to release fat. And we need to lose weight in order to reverse this whole process. So that's one very important thing achieving normal blood sugars does for you. 2, it avoids damage to the arterial wall. It reduces the stress on the arteries. It reduces the stress on the heart. Therefore, it reduces the risk of heart attack or stroke that is so high, 2 to 5 times higher for a diabetic. Thirdly, you're going to love this. By achieving normal blood sugars, you're going to improve your energy levels significantly within weeks and reduce your hunger. That's pretty important, right? You're going to avoid all the nasty side effects of type 2 diabetes if we achieve normal blood sugars. The other thing, your fatigue, wow, you're going to get years of energy back at normal blood sugars. We're probably going to be able to reduce a few medications, and we're going to take the stress off that pancreas, which means that it's going to last longer, and insulin isn't even in your far future. So normal blood sugars are so important. What should your blood sugar be? What's normal? Obviously, if we're talking normal blood sugars are important, what is normal? Well, before meals really needs to be less than 110 before meals. After meals, 1 hour after meals, less than 160. 2 hours after meals, really less than 140. Now, if you are a long way from these numbers, don't panic. You need to bring that down gradually. We're not going to drop it in 1 week or you'd feel lousy. But everyone that has been running high blood sugars feels better when the blood sugar's high. But that is so deadly because while you might feel better, it's kind of like an alcoholic feels better when they're lit up with alcohol. When you begin pulling the alcohol out of the bloodstream, they don't feel so good. Same thing with a diabetic and glucose. When we begin reducing this slightly, you may have a few weeks that you don't feel great as it's suggesting, but when you get to goal, it's the same thing as a recovered alcoholic. You feel so much better. Years of energy back. So worth it. Now, how often should you be checking your blood sugars and when? Let's talk about what we look at the different times a day. Your physician will often tell you when to check, but this is your body. You need to be the captain of your ship here. Don't not do what your physician tells you to do, but you may have to add a test or two at times. The fasting blood sugar. That's first thing in the morning before you eat anything. It's usually you've gone 8 hours without eating or drinking. That should be less than 110. People without diabetes, that's generally anywhere from 70 to 85. Less than 110. This blood sugar is our starting point for the day. If you're starting higher than 110, we might need to look at the food from the night before or the medication from the previous evening when we're troubleshooting. Now, before meals, after you eat breakfast, what is your blood sugar running before lunch? Once again, it should have recovered back to less than 110. We're looking to see, is the blood sugar returning to normal levels after food is eaten? If not, generally your blood sugars will run too high after you eat because you're starting too high before the meals. So once again, we have to look at our meal plan, medication pattern at times, but this test is telling us that after meals. What's happening after you eat? This after meal blood sugar is going to be pivotal because it's going to show you you'll know what you typically run after meals so you can identify food sources of too much carb, hidden sources that you didn't realize were there. 1 hour after completion of a meal, really want it to be less than 160. That's usually the peak. It'd be great for it to be less than 140. 2 hours after the meal, that's when some of it's been circulating in your bloodstream and some has been deposited in the cells, so less than 140. Bedtime, less than 120 before an extended rest. Depending on your medication, your doctor may have a different goal for you, but these are pretty much standard accepted goals from most endocrinologists. And you see how these blood sugars vary throughout the day. That's why it's important to not check one time a day only. You might be asking, is this forever? Well, number one, they're coming out with some really good meters that will check your blood sugar throughout the day without even you having to stick your finger. But to answer your question, it's always going to be important to check your blood sugar enough to be sure it's under control. You don't want surprises. You don't want to go a 3-month period and realize you've done 3 months of damage to your arteries because you didn't realize your blood sugar was back up again. In one sense, yes, forever. But if we're able to reverse and stabilize your blood sugars enough, you may not have to do it every day. We will assess that in your third phase, your transformation stage, of the D2Go method, we'll address that in your goals there. Don't wait and be caught unaware by an A1C. That's real important. Here's some tips and tricks for checking your blood sugar. If you are sticking your finger extra and they're getting really sore, try rubbing some Preparation H, yes, that good old hemorrhoidal cream, on your fingertips after testing. Now, wash it off before you test again or eat or anything like that, but that will take the swelling out of those fingertips and reduce the irritation a little bit. Rotate your fingers every test, and I know that one finger bleeds better than the rest. Don't wear it out. Switch around to different fingers and warm those fingers before you test them. Get the blood flowing down to those fingers. Test on the side of the finger, not the fingertip. You know, we do fingertip testing just to torture you. Don't do the tips of your fingers. Wash and rinse thoroughly and then test your blood sugar. And use a new lancet every test. I promise if you could see a lancet under a microscope after you shoved it through your finger once, you would not use them twice and 3 times. If your meter's swinging like a scale, a bad scale, where it just changes greatly, or if you're getting some real questionable blood sugars, switch over to that Bayer, that One Touch, and just test a few times and see if there's a big difference. Because if you got faulty readings, that's not helping us any at all. Let's look at what causes changes in the blood real quickly. You know, we want a normal blood sugar. Too little sugar in the blood is as bad as too much. We need a balance. That's why it doesn't make sense to not know what to do with your carbohydrates and just eat healthy, because this is a balance. If too little is not good and too much is not good, doesn't it make sense that something that's going to be 99% is going to hit your bloodstream in an hour, that you'd know carb? That's why just eating healthy doesn't work with diabetes. Or what causes blood sugar to rise? Well, food, specifically carbohydrate. Carbohydrate will cause the blood sugar to rise. This little boy's plate of spaghetti, if he were a diabetic, is going to cause a distinct rise in blood sugar. Now, glucose is fuel to our body. Carbohydrate is fuel to your body. When you eat, you don't want to save up and eat 1 meal a day. You really don't even want to do 2 meals a day. You want to do small, consistent portions throughout the day. This vehicle right here, if you overfuel, if you just keep holding that handle when it's full, what happens? It spills out onto the ground and you waste some money. When your body, when you keep, this is your esophagus. When you keep putting food into your stomach past what you should be eating, it's hitting your bloodstream. It's flooding your bloodstream. It's not pouring out on the pavement. It's pouring out in your bloodstream, and there it's doing significant damage. Small amounts so that your body can get it out of the bloodstream, use it for energy before you put in. What else causes the blood sugar to rise? Well, your liver. If you try to skip carb, you go way too long between meals, your body thinks, oh, he's starving me, she's starving me, breaks down storage, glucose, and dumps it in your bloodstream. And guess what? Your blood sugar goes up and you didn't even taste anything. Spacing is so important. How much in spacing? Because the liver can also cause a high blood sugar. That's usually what's causing your morning highs right there, is your liver. Illness. If you get sick, if you're getting a virus, if you're getting a bacterial infection, you'll see a spike in your blood sugars. Alcohol affects blood sugar both ways. Sweet drinks will cause the blood sugar to spike. But alcohol in general, 6 hours after you have it, will many times cause a very distinct low blood sugar. So it's very dangerous if you're taking a medication that causes low blood sugars to drink at night and then go to bed. Stress. If you're stressing, your blood sugar is going to be high. That's why it's so important that we address stress as well. Lack of sleep. If you're not sleeping well. Exercise. Exercise generally improves blood sugars, lowers it. That's why it's such a good help. That's a good tool. What else? Here's a big one. Medication and food are your 2 biggest variables on blood sugar. Medication generally causes blood sugars to lower, hopefully, that's the goal. Medication causes the blood sugars to drop. Oftentimes, when you start eating healthier, if your blood sugars start bottoming out, you start having lows, there's medication on board that's too strong and it needs to be reduced, because we certainly don't want to have to eat in order to not have low blood sugars. That defeats the purpose. We're trying to lose weight, not gain it. So medication affects blood sugars. All these have an effect on blood sugars. So as we look back, medication, exercise, lack of sleep or good sleep, either way, affect blood sugar. Stress, alcohol, illness, liver, and the amount that we eat. That all impacts blood sugars, but you know what impacts it the most? The two biggest variables are medication and food, specifically carbohydrate. So as the carbohydrate swings, so do the blood sugars. Okay, that all being said, don't hyperfocus. This is a tool. We're going to use this as a tool to improve. Monitoring and recording your blood sugar levels at home gives you feedback on your progress toward blood sugar control. It's feedback. Blood sugars vary throughout the day for various reasons. We don't want to add stress by you hyper-focusing. We just want to use this information, so we're going to test and write it down. Once you begin testing, you might be surprised to see how much your blood sugar level varies throughout the day. These records are going to allow you to judge your starting position, where you're starting with your blood sugars, your progress, and identify potential problems. I can't wait for you to see your blood sugars before you take the carb decoder course and after you complete it. Your blood sugars will improve and become more steady. That's neat to see that happen. You'll also be able to see the impact of medications as we go through here. Your goal blood sugars of less than 110 before meals, less than 140 2 hours after meals. They're just goal levels. Don't panic. Your physician may give you a different one, but if you're a long way from target, these levels should be adjusted gradually towards goal. It's important. I can't tell you how important to eventually, over at least within a 3-month period, bring your blood sugars into the recommended levels in order to avoid complications. Even if you need a private consultation, let's get this done. Remember, these are goal levels. And goal blood sugars may require diet and medication intervention in the next weeks or months in order to achieve them. Now, this is your homework. I want you to be able to have a before and after comparison of the Carb Decoder course. Don't go against your doctor's wishes or his instructions or her instructions, but you might have to add a test or two in order to test at different times a day. I don't know what your situation is. I'd like you to follow one of the testing schedules below so that we can see where you're starting. I've limited your testing to twice daily, but I realize you might have to add a test to comply with your physician instructions, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Here's our blood sugar record. You're going to be able to download this. There's a fillable copy to use online or one for you to write in. This does not mean you check it every one of these times. We'll check at different times based on what we're looking for. There'll be ongoing training for that. But this is a 1-week record. This is also included in our planners for purchase. But this is your blood glucose record, and it sounds like it's time for a framework. I'll see you in the next lesson.